It's time for the Hockey Writers Grind Line, a weekly show covering everything Detroit Red Wings. Brought to you by our own iconic top line of Wings writers. Sit back and enjoy the grind.
Welcome to the Hockey Writers Grind Line. I'm your host, Kyle Knopp, and today I'm joined by my line mates, Devin Little and Matthew Zator, and we are back after an illness swept through our locker room last week. Before we get into it, the Grind Line is brought to you by our sponsor, Ticket IQ. If you're looking for Red Wings tickets without having to pay those pesky checkout fees, try Ticket IQ. Ticket IQ has zero fees and will save you 10 to 20% versus sites like StubHub. Believe me, it's the best out there, and it's nice to know what you're going to spend, as the price you see is the price you pay. Plus, Ticket IQ gives each transaction an A through F rating based on how good a deal it is. So it takes the guesswork out of ticket buying. Again, that's ticketiq.com. Look for it in the description for an app download link so you can get started browsing the best deals on tickets. Also, while you're down there, drop us a like and subscribe to our YouTube channel to stay on all of the best Hockey Writers content. All right, let's jump right into it. We are going to do one good, one bad from the week that was. And Devin, let's start right with you. Let's get your one good, one bad, because I'm thinking that good is a haircut.
Oh, it was that like it looks good. All right.
It looks good. Absolutely.
I'm happy. Good to hear. That is not what I was going to say, but I'll take it. My one good, and we will talk about this a little bit later, but my one good is that Jakub Vrana, it was cleared to leave the players assistant program. That is huge, not just for the Red Wings, but for him personally. Obviously this team has missed him, and obviously we've kind of been worried about his health as he's been gone. So to hear that he's back with the team now and he was at practice today, it's awesome. I'm happy for him. I'm glad that we're going to be able to see him play some hockey here soon. Maybe not next game, but soon. And then my one bad is going to be the Ryan Reaves hit on Filip Hronek. Just an ugly hit. Plenty of debate whether or not that deserves some discipline on Reaves. I think that there is something to the idea that Hronek should have had his head up, but at the end of the day, a bad hit. And very, very, very lucky that Hronek. It sounds like Hronek's fine. He should be. If he misses any games, it sounds like it's only going to be one game. So he's no worse for wear. So and obviously with all the injuries the Red Wings are dealing with, they could not have afforded to lose Hronek too. So good to. Another good, I guess, is that it didn't impact him long term. So
yeah,
bad hit, but luckily they kind of escaped the worst of it.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely was a tricky situation. He had a guy over his shoulder. He was looking back, and then he turned back. Reaves did deliver the contact right to his head. So if the league is serious about protecting players with headshots, then they should absolutely bring punishment down on Ryan Reaves. But I just, it's been basically a coin flip at this point when it comes to player safety. So like you said, great news that he will only be missing one game. If that, I bet he will probably miss the 1:00 start this afternoon, Saturday, if you're watching when we release. But he should be back very shortly. Absolutely. All right, Matt, over to you. I'm going to get your good and one bad from this past week.
Well, my good is non-Red Wings related, and that's Alex Ovechkin. We were talking before the show about him, and 1 away from tying Gordie Howe now. And it's just a matter of time before he passes him and hits Gretzky's numbers. I mean, there's no way he's not going to score at least 20 in the next 3-4 years. He'll probably score 30 or even 40. I mean, the guy just a machine. I mean, scoring goals. So, and doesn't look like he's slowing down. He doesn't get hurt often either. So it's not like he's going to be injured. He's just an amazing talent. To us watch that guy throughout his whole career, and all of us have watched him from the beginning when he started in the NHL till now. And I didn't have the privilege of watching Gretzky throughout his career. I was too young, but to watch Ovechkin throughout his whole time in the NHL is just amazing. And whoever can and say that, amazing to watch this guy play.
Yeah, absolutely. He's generational for sure.
Yeah. And then my bad is on Canucks side is Bo Horvat. Apparently last deal was made by the Canucks and looks like they're going to trade him. That's not confirmed, obviously, but it's not looking good at this point. And Horvat's on this, speaking of scoring goals, he's got 21 already, on pace for 59 goals. That's Ovechkin numbers. But I don't know if he'll hit that, but it's just kind of, in a year that he does do that, he may have his last year as a Canuck. So that's my bad.
Yeah, and if you read Friday's morning skate, we did have a look at Horvat versus Boser, who's going to be likely traded first, or if, they end up trading one of the two, who would more likely be. So it is sad to see Horvat having such a solid year and them looking to move him. He's been a good captain for them the last 5 years. I think he's been their captain about. And he's been pretty solid, as a part of that organization. So it'll be interesting to see what they do moving on from Bo Horvat. So I guess they're all Red Wings related, but my last week Red Wings related good and bad are the goaltenders. So I'm going to start with the bad. Nedeljkovic and Hellberg have been struggling. Hellberg only gave up 3 goals against in that 4-1 loss. Ned gave up 5, but their save percentage was just atrocious. Hellberg was at a .857, Hellberg at a .878. And those are just not good numbers against teams that, the Red Wings should be playing much tighter games against, and they're just not doing it. So that's my bad. My good for the goaltending is Ville Husso has been stepping up and still playing well, even in that one loss. I think he was a 906 or something. I don't have that numbers down, but he had a pretty solid game, and just got out-dueled in the other 1-0 loss as well. So goaltending's kind of my good and bad the past week. My future good, I guess, or bad, depending on which side of the coin you want to look at this. Ovechkin is going to pass Gordie Howe against the Red Wings on Monday night. You've heard it here first. It's going to happen. It's kismet, destiny. He's playing the Red Wings. He, I believe it was either tied or broke the record when Mark Howe came and congratulated him for goals with one team against the Red Wings. And it's just going to happen. They don't play again until Monday night, and he did not score in Thursday night's game. So, if you're on your FanDuel or, whatever sports betting app, you put money down, because it is happening. It is happening. And just like the Horvat trade probably already happened, since Matt just kind of said it hadn't happened yet while we're recording. So while you're watching this, it probably has. All right. Well, those are my good and bad. So let's move on. The Red Wings have hit a bit of a skid over the last week. And in fact, I don't have their last few games up, but I believe they're on a 4-game losing streak right now. So I want to get your thoughts. Are we seeing their season turn for the worse, or is this kind of what we expected heading into the gauntlet that was December? And Matt, I'm going to come over to you first.
Well, yeah, we discussed this now 2 weeks ago about this, and we said it was going to be a tough schedule, and it's turned out to be, and they've struggled throughout. I mean, it was going to be tough like we said, it's going to be tough to win a lot of these games because of the fact that these are all strong teams they played against. So, I mean, maybe they're regressing back to what we kind of thought was going to be. And this seems to happen with a lot of the teams that are in that middle range, where they start, December, January, they start turning into what they are. And the Buffalo Sabres is a prime example of this throughout the years. They've started out well. You think, oh, this is the year. And then all of a sudden they kind of go back to what they were. I mean, it can change. I mean, we're going to talk about Jakub Vrana coming back in the lineup. He could boost the team and, get some positive vibes in there. The team has shown in the past in this season that they can be a good team. So it could definitely change. We're still relatively early in the season. But so far it has been tough. So I'm going to say yes and no. It does look like it at this point, but I'm hoping that it is just a blip and they can just kind of recover and get back to normal, especially when some maybe the injuries start going. Well, now VRANA'S coming back, wasn't injured, but he was out of the lineup. So hopefully that some of the guys coming back can boost the team too, but we'll just have to see.
Yeah, I mean, besides, this is weird to say, besides the Florida Panthers, all of those teams in the last 4 games are playoff teams, right? The Florida Panthers are the only team that is currently kind of sitting on the outside of the Stars, the Hurricanes, the Wild, and they're tied in points with the Red Wings right now as we record on Friday evening. So, I mean, that's just like you said, we kind of expected this tough schedule, this tough stretch, and they played some really good teams. And granted, they hung in there in 2 of those games, but also 2 of the games, like I mentioned, my good and my bad, were deciding factors. So, Devin, I want to get your thoughts on these last 4-game skid of the Red Wings. Is this the true colors of the team that we should expect moving forward, or is it like we just mentioned with Matt, just playing really good teams at a difficult point in the season?
Well, first and foremost, this is why I put my chips on the Christmas benchmark. Because here we are, and they are falling out of the picture. They're still very much in the picture, but they're not where they were when we last talked about this. And then there's also, and Matt, you kind of alluded to it, there's a big caveat with this, especially in their recent game against Minnesota. Larkin wasn't there, right? They've shown that they've been able to survive without Bertuzzi. They've been able to survive without Vrana, Fabry. The list goes on, but we've seen this in action plenty of times since the inception of this show. This team is not the same team without Dylan Larkin. They just don't have the center depth and the offensive depth to survive losing their top center. And that is why the man's going to get paid, because until they have a prospect come up that can take over that spot, they don't have anyone that can take over that spot. And it's a really good thing that apparently he's not going to be out long term. He's probably going to miss that Ottawa game, but he shouldn't miss too much more time as well. And like I just said, they need Larkin in the lineup, and that's kind of why they've struggled recently. He left that game against Carolina. That's when he had the injury, and then obviously wasn't there from Minnesota. So they're dealing with injuries. It's tough to say that this is the team, we're seeing the true colors, because they were missing key players. Hronek had to leave that game against the Minnesota Wild too, and he's been probably their best defenseman this season. So it's tough. I think that there's still time for them to change the complexion of their December schedule. But I do think that, like I said at the top, this is why I think more about where a team's at on Christmas, because things happen. Thanksgiving's only a month into the season. Give some randomness more time to happen, and then you start to really see what a team is and what they're going to deal with over the course of the season.
Absolutely, I totally agree. And just to add on to that, I think I already mentioned a little bit that we expected them to hit this. Not really expecting to hit a skid, but expected to hit a hurdle, right? A hurdle,
for sure.
So to say that this is going to be a tough week. And I think the real test is going to be this upcoming week. They have the Senators twice, the Lightning again, who they just beat in Tampa Bay, I believe. And then they have the Capitals on Monday in DC, which is another team that's flirting with the wild card spot as well. So I think this is again, they still have a lot of games through the rest of December. But like you said, that Christmas benchmark, 4 games coming up over the next week before we hit Christmas. And this is going to be their true test of December in my eyes. All right. Well, that's going to lead us to our first rush off the rush question, which ties in with this. So out of the Capitals, Lightning, Penguins, Sabres, and Senators, which are the games coming up for the rest of December, which team do you want the Wings to earn a win against the most? And Devin, I'm coming to you first.
Well,
20 seconds. Shoot, I don't have the timer up. All right, ready? Go. I forgot we incorporated that.
So this answer is the Senators because they play them the most this month. So if they get wins against the Senators, that's a lot of points. But I will say you want to see them beat the Lightning too, because they beat them the first time. And if they can continue to beat the Eastern Conference champions, that bodes well for them heading into the rest of the season.
Excellent. I think that was 11 seconds plus whatever it took me to get my timer started. So good job. All right, Matthew, over to you. Ready? Go.
Well, I want to say the Lightning because they're defending Stanley Cup champions. So, to beat them would show something. And then I want to say the Penguins because that always seems to be a tough matchup that you want to win.
All right, 13 seconds. Excellent. All right, I will set this for myself because I do want to see them keep beating the Lightning. The Blashill Lalonde switcheroo rivalry we got going is always fun. Plus, defending.
Never mind, not defending.
Back to back Eastern Conference champions.
Eastern Conference,
last 3 seconds, but I really want to see them beat the Sabres because they haven't done that yet. Okay, sorry, had to get that in there. All right, question number 2, Matthew. Does Alexander Ovechkin make history against the Wings on Monday night?
Yes, 100%. It like you said, it just seems to be inevitable.
Devin?
Yeah, I'm not gonna take too much time. Yeah.
He's gonna do it. It's already written in stone. I can guarantee it. All right. I'm not even gonna
and Red Wings fans will celebrate along with him too.
Oh, absolutely. As they should. As they absolutely should. Absolutely. And we talked about this off air. I have my girls team practice on Monday night, or else I would be going to that game for sure. So unfortunately I will not be in the building, but holy cow, would that be amazing. All right, well, we're going to take a quick breath and reset the show here. This is the Grind Line. I am Kyle Knopp here with Devin Little and Matthew Zator, and we're talking Red Wings hockey. Before we get back into it, we want to tell you to sign up for the Morning Skate, the morning hockey newsletter, jam-packed with all of the best NHL news, rumors, funnies, histories, and more. You can sign up today at morningskate.io for free delivery to your inbox Monday through Friday. All right, we have alluded to this multiple times today, so let's just go ahead and talk about him. Jakub Vrana has been cleared to rejoin the team. What does this mean for the lineup going forward? And Matthew, I'm coming to you first.
Well, my first reaction is what happens to Jonathan Berggren with this one, because Berggren's been playing. He has still been playing around the top 6 kind of time. And, someone has to come out of the lineup. I know there's a lot of injuries. So, he may not at this point because Larkin's still out, guys like that. But, it's going to be a matter of time where he's going to be probably the guy that comes out of the lineup. And then probably goes back down to the AHL because that'd be the best place for him rather than sitting in the press box. So that's my first reaction to it. And then, of course, because Vrana is probably going to play in the top 6 and he gets, of course, power play time and all that too. Some of those guys are going to have to be, some pieces are going to have to be shifted around. And that's mostly in the top 6, I think, unless they do put him in the, third line or fourth line. I don't think that's happening because Vrana is a top 6 player. But I'm going to say the biggest thing is what happens to Berggren when he comes back, because I think that's going to be the biggest change in the lineup.
That's a good call there, Matt. I think Berggren is probably the first to go. Austin Sarnak is kind of a bottom 6 forward, so he's not in one that's going to jump up there. Soderblom's really kind of found his spot in the third line. You're not going to really replace him with Vrana. You can kind of move Perron or Sundqvist down if you wanted, but then again, you still have to drop someone out. So unless they move, Sundqvist or Perron down to the third or fourth line and then move someone down for Sarnak, I think you're absolutely right that it's going to be Berggren, odd man out, back to the AHL. Devin, your thoughts on Vrana coming back to the lineup, and what does that mean moving forward for the Red Wings?
Well, 2 things. One, in the words of Coach Lalonde, goals. That's what it means. And then I guess three things. Two is how long is it going to take Vrana to A, re-enter the lineup, and then B, get back up to his speed, right? Because I listen, he's proven us wrong before with this, but you can't bet on him jumping into the lineup and immediately scoring 2 goals a night and scoring at will like the man has proven he can. Now maybe he does it. He's done it before, but it'll be interesting to see how long it takes for him to look like Vrana again. And then the third thing is, we've kind of been, and this kind of goes to what Matt was saying. There's kind of been a looming cloud over the Red Wings basically since the start of the season that moves are going to have to be made sooner or later. There's just too many NHL quality players and not enough spaces to go around. I think that Vrana coming back and even Mata coming back, because he's technically on injured reserve right now. If one more guy comes back, they officially have to make the move. I think this is when we're going to see something happen with Ned or Hellberg, because you can't carry 3 goalies around forever. I think that's when you're going to see that situation finally resolve itself. And then I also think that this is when we're going to find out if Berggren's here to stay, like you said, Matt. Personally, I think that they'll find a way to keep him. We've talked about how he's made a difference since he's gotten here. He's been, even when the Red Wings have struggled, he's looked good. He's made Veleno look better. He's added depth that they simply didn't have when he wasn't in the lineup. So I think that what this means is that something's going to have to happen. Whether it's somebody gets waived, somebody gets traded, what have you. Like I said, this has been looming since the start of the season. And once one more player gets healthy and is added to the roster, they officially have to do something.
Yeah, I mean, they're running out of space. And they have a lot of guys that are going to be coming back sooner than you think. Vrana's one of those guys that is you need to plug into the lineup, and he's going to make your lineup better. So, there's a lot of speculation out there. I think you're absolutely right, Devin. Something's going to have to happen. And I think the 3 goaltender situation is the easiest one to solve, at least in terms of creating another roster space. But in terms of actually making that decision, not so easy right now. So glad I'm not Steve Yzerman, and it will be fun to see what happens over the next couple weeks. All right. Well, we mentioned this already in the last rush, but the Red Wings play Ottawa 3 times before the end of 2022. I want to get your thoughts on how important these games are and what Detroit needs to do to be successful against the Senators. And Devin, I'm going to come to you first. What do the Red Wings need to do to be successful in their 3 games against the Ottawa Senators?
Well, if you look at the standings, yes, the Red Wings have slipped a little bit in the playoff race, but the standings would tell you that they are the better team between Ottawa and Detroit, and they need to play like it. They need to, the Senators have this nickname. They're called the Pesky Sens, and it's because they don't go away and they give you hell every time you play them. And even if you win, it's, they're going to take a piece out of you. So they can't play on Ottawa's terms. They have to take it to Ottawa. They have to play their game. I think that Hellberg should definitely play one of the games because that's a team he played for this season. And if anybody's going to be raring to beat that team, it would be Hellberg. And give him, another shot at maybe saying, hey, I could be the backup too, because that first game against Minnesota didn't say anything for him. And then also, why are these games important? Well, it's because they're divisional games, right? If not only, obviously if they lose to Ottawa gains points and maybe they can get back into this race, but then the Red Wings lose points. We just talked about how they're starting to slip. And divisional games are a 4-point swing. It's not just you lose 2 points, it's your divisional rival gains 2 points. And so it tightens up. And in the meantime, the Lightning have started to look like themselves again. Florida could very well catch fire at any given time. Boston and Toronto are, I don't want to say they're out of reach, but they're getting to that point. So if the Red Wings want to stay in this, not only do they need to, I would say they need to get at least 3 points in these games against Ottawa. I would say they need to shoot for at least 4. But they also need to show well against the Lightning when they play them. That's a divisional game. They need to show well I think there's one more game against a divisional team. I can't think of who it is right now, but yeah, the Sabres. They got to win against the Sabres too. These last games, there's a lot of divisional games, and case in point, if they want to stay in the playoff race, they got to get their points, whether it's, an overtime loss or, the 2 points for a win. But if they lose more games than they win against the Senators to end before the end of the year, I think we're going to start talking about the 2023 draft.
To me, honestly, I think 4 points needs to be their minimum against
I agree.
Senators.
Yeah.
And yeah, 3 is okay, but then you're right back where you were heading into those 3 games, and you didn't make up any ground. And like you said, games against the Sabres, games against Lightning. We mentioned in that rush that they're important games. We didn't mention the divisional component to that, but there definitely is an extra factor in the importance of these games. And like you said, Florida's starting to catch fire. Lightning's starting to look good. Toronto and Boston. Detroit's not catching them. No matter how hot they get, it's just not going to happen. So they need to beat up on the teams that are below them. And they can't play their style of game. Like you said, Devin, they have to take it to them, dictate the pace, dictate the terms of play. And I think absolutely Hellberg needs to get a start, but I think the Red Wings need at least one of those games to be a pretty big win. I'm talking like a 5-1, 6-2 type,
win.
Statement win. Absolutely, against that type of team. All right, Matt, I'm going to get your thoughts on the Red Wings games, 3 games, against the Ottawa Senators to end 2022's calendar season or year, whatever you want to look at it. Why are these important besides just being divisional games, and what do they need to do to be successful?
Yeah, a lot of what Devin said is exactly what they have to do. And the thing is, there's a lot of, like you say, divisional games are just massive because, they're 4-point games. And, we said at the beginning of the season, our season previews, that this Atlantic division is going to be tough.
Oh, yeah.
And it has been. I mean, all these teams have had spurts where you're like, well, they could be playoff team. Buffalo Sabres had that run, and there's, they still have those games. And going against Tage Thompson right now is just insane. You can't seem to stop this guy. And all these teams have stars that seem to be able to just, do like the Ottawa Senators. Shane Pinto. I mean, he's one of the top rookies. He kind of slowed down from his 5-goal start there, 5 straight games with a goal, but still has 10 goals on the season, and it seems to be he's playing better again. Every one of these teams you're playing against, you're going to have to deal with someone that could burn you. So I mean, they're not going to be easy games. I think the Ottawa Senators, if you beat them, like Devin said, at least I'd say 4 points is probably you really want. I mean, ideally you want all 6. But, I think the Senators, they've been playing better lately too. I mean, and they can turn on. I mean, they have talent. I mean, they showed it. They've shown it this season. They've got some good players. Guys like DeBrincat has kind of, playing to more of his potential now. Guys like Jake Sanderson. He's playing really well for a rookie, kind of sneaking his way into the Calder Trophy kind of talk. Not putting up the same points as Sider did. As a defenseman, it seems you have to be that level to win a Calder, especially when you have this season with Matty Beniers, what he's doing.
Yeah.
So, I mean, but Ottawa's a tough team. I mean, they've got some good players. We said that they were going to make the playoffs. And so because of all their additions, they've had some problems with injuries. Obviously, Josh Norris going out was massive for them being injured. So, it's going to be tough, but I think Detroit, if they can play their game, and they've shown it in this season already, I think they can get at least 4 points, but not going to be easy games for sure.
You mentioned Tage Thompson. I have a funny tangent story. I was in Buffalo last weekend for games for my team, and we went to the Sabres Pittsburgh Penguins game on Friday night, and Tage Thompson didn't score. So we're walking out of the arena, and Penguins fans are like, Tristan Jarry didn't give up any goals to Tage Thompson, so he should win the Vezina, best goalie in the league. And it's just really funny. So you mentioned him, made me remind me of that. But yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, the Senators, coming into the season. We talked about them having a huge offseason and being a type of team that could compete in the Atlantic. And then they kind of started out slow, and then Buffalo picked it up. So Buffalo was that team that could really push for another playoff spot. And then the Red Wings have been kind of that team. So, the Atlantic is really, really crazy skilled and packed right now this season. So again, to just keep reiterating, pounding it in, these divisional games are huge. And to have 3 of them coming up against one team, especially a team like the Senators, who on paper are not that great, the Red Wings need to take advantage. So we could beat this down and dead all day, but I think we'll just leave it at that. The Red Wings I think we can all agree, the Red Wings need to get at least 4 points out of those 3 games, and could really use a statement game against the Senators within those as well. All right, well, that's going to bring us to our last rush of the night. Devin, I'm coming over to you first. How many points will Jakub Vrana score during the rest of December?
Points, not goals?
Yes, points. I'll just do points.
6.
Okay. Matthew?
Well, again, like Devin said, it depends on when he comes back. Actually comes back in the lineup. So I'll go a little higher. I'll go 8.
Okay. I was assuming he won't be back for Saturday's game against the Sens. So that gives him six more games in the rest of December. I'm going out on a limb. He's going to have 11 points. I think he's going to come out strong, ready to go. He's going to have a couple multi-goal games. Man's just going to be on fire. I'm looking forward to this. All right. No, I didn't even have my timer ready. Oh, well, I think we're doing this freehand today. All right. Out of Ali Mata and Robert Hagg, who are able to return to the lineup, the Wings lineup, Saturday, today, the 17th, as we're dropping this episode, which one will have the more immediate impact? Matthew?
Well, Mata, because he's been really good this season. I mean, very surprising. I didn't think he was going to be that good, but definitely been good. So I'm going to say Mata.
Devin?
Yeah, it's Mata. The defensive depth chart just hasn't looked the same since he left. So once you plug him back in, I think things fall back into place, basically.
Yeah, I nothing against Hagg. I think he's actually been pretty solid this year in his role, and adds that depth to that third line that has been struggling in the last couple of weeks. But I think it's definitely Ali Mata as well. He's like you said, Devin, he's been having a sneaky, fantastic season, and is going to add, set that depth chart where it needs to be heading forward. All right. Well, if we still need to convince you after our first plug, sign up for the Morning Skate, the morning hockey newsletter delivered to your inbox for free Monday through Friday. If you need to know what the divisions are merry about as the holiday seasons come around, or you want to stay up to date with the upcoming World Junior Championships, you will get all of that and more with the Morning Skate. So sign up today at morningskate.io. That's it for this edition of the Grind Line. We are going to take next week off for the holidays and be back in 2 weeks. So enjoy your holiday break. And from all of us here at the Hockey Writers and our team here on the Grind, we will see you in 2 weeks.